The exiles return. The sleek diplomatic vessel Olive Branch glided silently through the star-studded void, its gleaming hull a stark contrast to the darkness of space. Inside, Ambassador Elena Chen stood at the viewport, her dark eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching space station that housed the Galactic Council. After centuries of isolation, humanity was making its bid to rejoin the interstellar community. Elena smoothed down her crisp white uniform, adorned with the Earth United insignia, a golden olive branch encircling a blue planet. The irony wasn't lost on her. Humanity, once feared as the galaxy's most dangerous predators, now came bearing symbols of peace. "We're on final approach," Ambassador Captain Ramos announced from the helm. "The Council has granted us docking clearance." Elena nodded, her throat tight. "Very good, Captain. Let's hope they're as welcoming once we're aboard." As the Olive Branch maneuvered into the docking bay, Elena couldn't help but marvel at the diversity of ships surrounding them. Vessels of all shapes and sizes, representing dozens of alien species, filled the massive hangar. It was a vivid reminder of just how much humanity had missed during their long years of quarantine. The docking clamps engaged with a soft thud, and Elena took a deep breath. "Well," she said to her small team of diplomats and cultural experts, "let's go make history." As they disembarked, a delegation of council representatives waited to greet them. Elena's translator implant hummed to life, decoding the cacophony of alien languages. "Welcome to Harmony Station," a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin said, its voice melodious even through the translation. "I am Zixlith, Chief Liaison of the Galactic Council. We did not expect to see humans here again in our lifetimes." Elena bowed slightly. "Thank you for receiving us, Chief Liaison. I am Ambassador Elena Chen of Earth United. We come seeking reconciliation and a chance to rejoin the galactic community." Zixlith's large, multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. A sign of surprise, Elena's cultural training told her. "A bold request, Ambassador. The council chambers await. Please, follow me." As they walked through the station's winding corridors, Elena couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Aliens of all descriptions stopped and stared, some with curiosity, others with unmistakable fear. Whispers followed in their wake. "Humans? Here? I thought they were quarantined. Are we safe?" Elena steeled herself. She had expected this reaction, but the reality of it stung nonetheless. The council chambers were a marvel of alien architecture, a vast, circular room with tiered seating that stretched high above them. Hundreds of representatives from across the galaxy filled the seats, their chatter dying down to a tense silence as Elena and her team entered. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform, surrounded by holographic displays. Zixlith guided them to this focal point, then took a seat among the other council leaders. The head of the council, a being of living crystal known as the Harmonious Resonator, chimed softly to bring the session to order. Its faceted body refracted light in mesmerizing patterns as it spoke. "Representatives of the Galactic Council, we are gathered here to address an unprecedented situation. After 3 centuries of isolation, the humans of Earth seek to rejoin our ranks." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Elena stepped forward, her voice clear and steady as she addressed the assembly. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, I stand before you today not to make excuses for our past, but to offer hope for our future. Humanity has changed. We have spent these centuries of isolation reflecting on our mistakes, refining our culture, and redirecting our warrior instincts towards self-improvement and exploration." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We ask not for immediate trust, but for the opportunity to earn it, to show you that the same passion that once made us feared can now make us valuable allies in the face of whatever challenges our galaxy may face." As Elena spoke, holographic displays flickered to life around her, showing images of Earth's transformation. Green cities, advanced but sustainable technologies, and scenes of peaceful cooperation flashed before the council's eyes. But not all were swayed by her words. A hulking reptilian being rose from its seat, its scales bristling with agitation. "Pretty words and prettier pictures," it growled. "But they do not erase the blood on your species' hands. Have you forgotten why you were exiled in the first place?" The chamber grew tense. Alina had prepared for this moment, but it didn't make it any easier. "We have not forgotten, honored representative," she said solemnly. "The Proxima War and its aftermath are a stain on our history that we will never erase. But we have learned from it." "We learned?" The reptilian counselor interrupted. "Let me remind the council exactly what the humans are capable of." With a gesture, new holograms sprang to life, but these didn't show the peaceful Earth of the present. Instead, scenes of devastation and war filled the chamber. Planets scared by orbital bombardments, alien cities in ruins, and at the center of it all, human warships and soldiers, their ferocity terrifying to behold. Alina's heart sank as she watched her ancestors' brutality played out before her. The council chambers erupted in shouts and cries of alarm. "This is the true face of humanity," the reptilian roared over the commotion. "A species so violent, so ruthless, that they nearly torn our galaxy apart. And now they ask us to welcome them back with open arms." The harmonious resonator chimed loudly, restoring order to the chamber. Its crystalline voice was solemn as it addressed Alina. "Ambassador Chen, you must understand our hesitation. The wounds inflicted by your people run deep. Many here lost ancestors, even entire worlds, to human aggression. What assurance can you offer that history will not repeat itself?" Alina took a deep breath, her mind racing. Everything hinged on her next words. "Honored resonator, esteemed council, I cannot change the past, but I can offer you a glimpse of our potential future." She gestured, and a new hologram appeared. It showed a massive space station, far larger and more advanced than Egon Harmony Station. "This is the Alexandria Project," Alina explained. "A repository of all human knowledge and culture, which we offer freely to the galaxy. Our sciences, our arts, our philosophies, all open to you. But more than that, we offer our strength and our indomitable spirit in service of galactic peace." The image shifted, showing human ships and crews working alongside alien vessels to combat natural disasters, explore uncharted regions, and defend against cosmic threats. "We were once the galaxy's greatest warriors," Alina continued, her voice filled with passion. "Let us now be its greatest protectors. All we ask is a chance to prove ourselves worthy of your trust." A hush fell over the council chambers as her words hung in the air. Alina held her breath, knowing that the fate of humanity rested on what happened next. The harmonious resonator chimed softly, its crystalline form shimmering with internal light. "Your words are compelling, Ambassador Chen, but actions will speak louder than any promise. We will need time to deliberate on this monumental decision." Alina bowed deeply. "We understand, honored resonator. We await the council's judgment with hope and humility." As Alina and her team were escorted from the chamber, the council erupted into heated debate. The path ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in centuries, there was a glimmer of hope for humanity's return to the stars. Outside the council chambers, Alina allowed herself a small smile. It wasn't a victory, not yet, but it was a beginning. And sometimes, that was all you needed to change the course of history. Echoes of the past. As the debate raged within the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Alina Chen found herself ushered into a waiting area. The room was a testament to alien aesthetics. Its walls seemed to shift and breathe, while floating orbs of soft light provided illumination. Alina sank into a chair that molded itself to her form, her mind racing with the events that had just transpired. "Well, that could have gone better," muttered Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's historian and cultural expert. The older woman's face was etched with concern, but it could have gone much worse too. Alina nodded, her eyes distant. They fear us, Yuki. After all this time, the memory of what we did still haunts them. Can you blame them? This came from Major Durek Holst, their military attaché. The burly man leaned against a wall, his cybernetic eye wearing as it scanned their surroundings. Hell, the Proxima War still haunts us, and we were the ones who started it. As if summoned by their discussion, the room's holoprojector flickered to life. An alien news feed began to play, recounting the history that had led to this moment. Elena and her team watched in silence as humanity's violent past was laid bare once more. The images showed Earth at the dawn of its interstellar age. Humanity had burst onto the galactic scene with a mixture of curiosity and aggression that had alarmed the established races. Initial contacts had been tense but peaceful. However, as humans expanded rapidly, colonizing worlds and exploiting resources, conflicts began to arise. The feed shifted to scenes of the first skirmishes. Human ships, boxy and utilitarian compared to the sleek alien vessels, nonetheless proved formidable in battle. Humanity's talent for warfare, honed by millennia of conflict on Earth, translated all too well to the stars. "We didn't start out looking for a fight," Elena murmured, watching the events unfold. "We were just overeager, too quick to claim, too slow to negotiate." Dr. Tanaka nodded solemnly. "Our history made us paranoid. We saw threats where there were only misunderstandings." The holofeed continued, showing the escalation of tensions. Diplomatic breakdowns, border disputes, and resource competitions all contributed to a powder keg of interstellar proportions. And then came the spark that would ignite the Proxima War. The images now displayed a lush green world. Proxima Centauri, humanity's first extrasolar colony, a jewel of a planet, and one that another race, the Scathal, claimed as their ancestral home. The dispute over Proxima quickly spiraled out of control. "We should have just left," Major Holst said, his voice tight. "Found another world. There were plenty to choose from." "Hindsight is a luxury we didn't have then," Elena replied. "We were young, arrogant. We thought we could win any fight." The feed showed the outbreak of full-scale war. Human fleets clashed with Scathal armadas in epic space battles. Ground forces fought bitter campaigns across the surfaces of contested worlds. The conflict rapidly drew in other races, as ancient alliances were invoked and opportunistic powers sought to gain advantage in the chaos. Elena watched with a mixture of horror and grudging pride as human ingenuity and ferocity were displayed in equal measure. Outnumbered and outgunned, humanity nonetheless held its own against the combined might of multiple alien civilizations. "We were never the most advanced," Dr. Tanaka observed, "but we were adaptable, creative." The holofeed supported her words. It showed human ships using asteroids as improvised weapons, turning space itself into a battlefield. Ground forces employed guerrilla tactics that confounded alien military doctrine. And all the while, human scientists worked feverishly, reverse engineering captured alien technology to level the playing field. But as the war dragged on, the images grew darker. Worlds burned. Civilizations crumbled. The desperation on both sides led to atrocities that would scar the galaxy for centuries to come. "The Nova Bomb," Major Holst said quietly as the feed showed a star system erupting in a cataclysmic explosion. "Our crowning achievement and our greatest shame." Elena nodded grimly. The Nova Bomb had been humanity's ace in the hole, a weapon capable of inducing supernovas. Its deployment had ended the war almost overnight, but at a cost that still haunted human nightmares. The feed concluded with scenes of the war's aftermath, a devastated galaxy, countless dead, and humanity, broken but undefeated, facing the judgment of the Galactic Council. 300 years of quarantine, Elena mused as the holofeed faded, a punishment and a chance for reflection. Dr. Tanaka sighed heavily. "We've spent generations trying to redefine ourselves, to channel our drive and creativity into peaceful pursuits. But will it be enough? Before anyone could answer, the door to their waiting room slid open. Zixlith, the council liaison, entered, its iridescent skin shimmering with what Elena interpreted as agitation. "Ambassador Chen," Zixlith said, its melodious voice tinged with urgency, "the council requests your presence once more. There have been developments." Elena exchanged quick glances with her team before standing. "Of course, Chief Liaison. We're ready." As they followed Zixlith back towards the council chambers, Elena couldn't shake a feeling of foreboding. The echoes of the past were loud in her mind, but it was the uncertain future that truly worried her. The council chambers were a storm of activity when they entered. Representatives argued loudly in a cacophony of languages, while holographic displays flashed urgent messages and sensor readings. The harmonious resonator chimed for order, its crystalline form pulsing with an intensity Elena hadn't seen before. As the chamber quieted, the resonator addressed the human delegation. "Ambassador Chen, we find ourselves in an unprecedented situation. Even as we debated your petition, our long-range sensors detected something alarming approaching the borders of known space." New holograms sprang to life, showing a massive object moving at incredible speed towards the heart of the galaxy. Its shape was like nothing Elena had ever seen, a writhing mass of tentacles and sharp angles that seemed to hurt the eye to look upon. "We believe this to be a cosmic horror," the resonator continued, its tone grave, "a being from the dark spaces between galaxies. Our legends speak of such entities, but none have been encountered in living memory." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. She had heard whispers of such things during humanity's early days of space exploration, but they had always been dismissed as superstition. "This entity's trajectory will bring it into populated space within days," Zixlith added. "Our projections suggest catastrophic loss of life, if it is not stopped." The reptilian counselor, who had opposed humanity's return earlier, now spoke, its voice surprisingly subdued. "Our fleets are scattered, unprepared. We have grown complacent in centuries of relative peace." Elena's mind raced. She could see where this was going, and a part of her thrilled at the opportunity even as another part quailed at the implications. The harmonious resonator turned its crystalline gaze fully on Elena. "Ambassador Chen, we find ourselves in need of warriors. Your petition spoke of humanity's desire to be protectors. Now fate has given you a chance to prove those words." Elena stood tall, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. "Honored resonator, esteemed council, humanity stands ready to defend the galaxy. But we will need trust, and we will need access to our full military capabilities." A tense silence fell over the chamber. What Elena was asking for, the unlocking of humanity's martial power, was no small thing. For centuries, Earth had been allowed to progress technologically, but with strict limitations on its military growth. The resonator chimed softly, a sound that somehow conveyed both hope and trepidation. "The human quarantine is provisionally lifted, Ambassador Chen. You have one planetary cycle to gather your forces and prepare a defense. The galaxy's fate may well rest in humanity's hands." As the council erupted into a flurry of activity, Elena turned to her team. Their faces showed a mixture of determination and disbelief. "Well," she said, allowing herself a grim smile, "it looks like humanity's warriors are about to be reborn. Let's just hope we remember how to be heroes this time." With that, Elena strode from the council chambers, her mind already racing with plans. The echoes of the past were fading, drowned out by the clarion call of a new crisis. Humanity had been given a second chance, and Elena was determined not to waste it. As the olive branch disengaged from Harmony Station, its engines burning bright as it raced back towards Earth, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and dread. The galaxy was about to remember why humans had once been feared. She just hoped they would give the aliens a reason to cheer this time, instead of cower. The next few days would determine not just humanity's fate, but that of the entire galaxy. The warriors of Earth were about to face their greatest test, and their greatest opportunity for redemption, awakening the sleeping giant. The olive branch tore through space at speeds that would have been impossible just days ago. With the quarantine lifted, humanity's full technological prowess was unleashed. Ambassador Elena Chen stood on the bridge, watching the blur of stars streak past the view screen. "ETA to Earth, Captain Ramos," she asked, her voice tense with urgency. 2 hours, Ambassador," Ramos replied, his hands dancing over the newly upgraded controls. "We're pushing the engines to their limits." Elena nodded, her mind racing. 2 hours to prepare humanity for a threat it had never imagined. 2 hours to awaken a sleeping giant. As they approached Earth, Elena couldn't help but marvel at the changes. The orbital defense platforms, dormant for centuries, were coming to life. Ships of all sizes swarmed around them, a steel hive of frantic activity. "We're being hailed," announced the communications officer. "It's Admiral Zhao of Earth United Defense." The view screen flickered, revealing the stern face of Admiral Lai Zhao. Her cybernetic eye glowed a fierce blue as she regarded Elena. "Ambassador Chen," Zhao said, her voice clipped. "I hope you have a damn good explanation for why every alarm in the solar system is screaming." Elena took a deep breath. "Admiral, we have a situation. The galaxy needs Earth's warriors once more." Over the next hour, Elena briefed Earth's military leadership on the impending threat. To their credit, centuries of enforced peace hadn't dulled humanity's ability to prepare for war. As Elena spoke, she could see plans forming behind the eyes of the assembled commanders. "A cosmic horror," mused General Octavia Santos, her weathered face grim. "Sounds like something out of our old sci-fi fits. But I suppose we've seen stranger things." Admiral Zhao nodded, her cybernetic eye whirring as it processed data. "We've kept our teeth sharp, even if we haven't been allowed to bite. But Chen, you have to understand. We're not the warriors we once were. We've spent centuries learning to create, not destroy." Elena felt a surge of pride at those words. "That's precisely why we're the right people for this job, Admiral. We're not just warriors anymore. We're builders, thinkers, explorers, and now we'll be protectors." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Elena found herself shuttled between military briefings, diplomatic calls with the Galactic Council, and strategy sessions with Earth's brightest minds. In a vast underground complex beneath the Himalayas, Elena watched in awe as long-dormant production lines roared to life. Mechs, ships, and weapons that had existed only in highly classified designs were now being rapidly prototyped and manufactured. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who had been poring over ancient texts and synoarchaeological records, approached Elena with a tablet in hand. "Elena, I think I've found something," she said, her eyes wide with excitement and fear. "These cosmic horrors, they're not just monsters. They're smart. Ancient records suggest they've attacked before, millennia ago." Elena frowned, scanning the information. "And how did the ancients stop them?" Yuki's face fell. "They didn't. At least, not entirely. They drove them back, but at a terrible cost. Entire civilizations were wiped out." Before Elena could respond, an alarm blared. Admiral Zhou's voice came over the intercom, urgent and commanding. "All personnel, battle stations. The entity has entered the Orc cloud. I repeat, the enemy has entered our solar system." Elena rushed to the command center, her heart pounding. On the massive holographic display, she watched as the writhing mass of the cosmic horror approached. It was even more terrifying in real time, its vast bulk distorting space around it. "Status report," barked Admiral Zhao. "Entity is moving faster than predicted," reported a young lieutenant, her voice shaking slightly. "It'll reach Earth orbit in less than an hour." General Santos slammed her fist on the console. "Damn it. We're not ready. We need more time." Elena's mind raced. They needed a plan, something to buy them the time to fully mobilize. Then, an idea struck her, crazy, dangerous, but potentially brilliant. "Admiral, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. What if we don't fight it here? What if we take the battle to it? All eyes turned to her. Admiral Joe's cybernetic eye whirred as she processed the idea. Go on, Ambassador. Elena gestured to the display. We can't win a defensive battle. Not yet. But we have ships that can match its speed now. What if we send a small, elite force to intercept it? Not to destroy it, but to distract it. Lead it away from populated systems, buy us time to prepare a proper defense. A tense silence fell over the command center. Then, slowly, Admiral Joe nodded. It's risky as hell, Chen, but it might be our only shot. She turned to the room. I need volunteers, our fastest ships, our best pilots. This is a one-way trip, people. To Elena's surprise and pride, hands shot up all around the room. Humanity's warriors were answering the call. Within minutes, a strike force was assembled. 5 of Earth's most advanced ships, crewed by volunteers willing to risk everything. As Elena watched them prepare to launch, she felt a mixture of hope and terrible guilt. I should be going with them, she murmured to Dr. Tanaka. Yuki shook her head. Your place is here, Elena. You're the bridge between humanity and the galaxy now. We'll need you for what comes next. As the strike force launched, streaking away from Earth at unimaginable speeds, Elena turned her attention back to the monumental task at hand. They had bought some time, but now they needed to make it count. Get me a line to the Galactic Council, she ordered, and patch me through to every research lab on the planet. If we're going to beat this thing, we need to understand it, and we need the galaxy's help to do it. As Elena began coordinating the largest collaborative effort in human history, she couldn't help but think of the brave souls racing towards an unimaginable horror. They were humanity's vanguard, the tip of the spear. The sleeping giant was awake, and it was angry. But more than that, it was determined. Humanity had been given a chance to prove itself, to redefine its place in the galaxy. And Elena swore they wouldn't waste it. As the hours ticked by, with reports coming in from the strike force and frantic preparations continuing on Earth and throughout human space, Elena allowed herself a moment of reflection. The galaxy had feared humanity's warriors for centuries. Now, those same warriors might be its only hope. The real battle was yet to come, but humanity was ready. Ready to fight, ready to protect, ready to show the galaxy that their warrior spirit could be a force for good. The cosmic horror was coming, but so were the defenders of Earth, and they were bringing 300 years of pent-up ingenuity, determination, and fighting spirit with them. The galaxy was about to remember why humanity had once been feared, but this time they would give them a reason to cheer. The battle beyond. The vastness of space was shattered by the arrival of 5 human warships, their hulls gleaming with technology that had been forbidden for centuries. At their helm was Commander Alexei Volkov, a veteran pilot whose cybernetic implants interfaced directly with his ship's systems. Strike team, report in. Volkov's gruff voice crackled over the comms. Artemis, standing by. Phoenix, ready to engage. Thunderchild, weapons hot. Nebula Dancer, all systems go. Volkov allowed himself a grim smile. All right, people. We're about to go down in history as either the biggest heroes or the biggest fools in the galaxy. Let's make it count. As if on cue, space itself seemed to warp and twist before them. The cosmic horror emerged from the void, its vast, alien form defying description. Tentacles of dark energy writhed around a core that hurt the mind to look upon directly. By all the stars, whispered Lieutenant Sarah Chen from the Nebula Dancer. How do we fight something like that? We don't, Volkov replied, his voice steady. We just need to piss it off enough to follow us. All ships, initiate attack pattern Omega. Hit it with everything we've got. The 5 ships broke formation, each approaching the monstrosity from a different vector. Energy beams lanced out, striking the horror's amorphous body. To the crew's shock and dismay, Their weapons seemed to pass right through it. "Conventional weapons are ineffective," reported the Phoenix's tactical officer. "It's like trying to shoot smoke." Volkov gritted his teeth, switched to graviton torpedoes. "Let's see if we can at least get its attention." The ships launched a barrage of torpedoes, devices designed to create localized gravitational distortions. As they detonated around the horror, its form rippled and distorted. For the first time, it seemed to take notice of the human fleet. A tendril of dark energy lashed out, narrowly missing the Thunderchild. The ship's pilot, her reflexes enhanced by neural implants, barrel rolled away from the attack. "I think we got its attention, Commander," she shouted, a mix of fear and exhilaration in her voice. Volkov nodded grimly. "Good. Now let's see if it can chase us. All ships, maximum thrust. We're leading this bastard on a merry dance away from Earth." As the human ships turned and fled, the cosmic horror gave chase. Its movement was alien and unsettling, more like a spreading inkblot than a conventional pursuit. But it was following them, drawn away from its original course towards Earth. Back on Earth, the Lena Chen watched the battle unfold via long-range sensors. Her heart raced as she saw the bravery of the strike team, buying precious time with their lives. "They've done it," she breathed. "They've actually done it." Admiral Zhao nodded, her cybernetic eye whirring as it processed the incoming data. "They've bought us time, Ambassador. Now we need to make it count." Elena turned to the assembled team of scientists, engineers, and strategists who had been working around the clock. "What have we got, people? How do we fight this thing?" Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her normally calm demeanor replaced by barely contained excitement. "We've been analyzing the data from the strike team, correlating it with ancient records and cutting-edge theoretical physics. We think we've found a weakness." She brought up a holographic model of the cosmic horror. "It exists partially outside our dimension. That's why conventional weapons pass right through it. But the graviton torpedoes affected it because gravity transcends dimensional barriers. So we hit it with bigger gravity weapons," General Santos asked, leaning forward. Dr. Tanaka shook her head. "Not exactly. We propose creating a device that can generate a controlled singularity. A miniature black hole. If we can deploy it inside the horror's core, we might be able to collapse its extra-dimensional structure." A stunned silence fell over the room. Admiral Zhao was the first to speak. "A black hole weapon. The risks of something like that are less than the risk of doing nothing," Elena finished. She turned to the assembled team. "How quickly can we build this? With the combined resources of Earth and the assistance we've requested from the Galactic Council." "Maybe 48 hours, replied Chief Engineer Rodriguez. Elena nodded. "Make it 24. Our people out there don't have 48 hours. As the team scrambled to begin work on the singularity device, Elena's attention was drawn back to the long-range sensor display. The strike team was still leading the cosmic horror away, but at a terrible cost. The Artemis was gone, consumed by a tendril of dark energy. The Phoenix's life support was failing, its crew evacuating to the other ships in desperate EVA maneuvers. And still, Commander Volkov and his remaining ships pressed on, drawing the horror further and further from populated space. "Hold on," Elena whispered to the display. "Just hold on a little longer." The next 24 hours were a blur of frantic activity. Elena found herself shuttling between Earth and the hastily assembled shipyards in orbit, coordinating the construction of both the singularity device and the ship that would deliver it. The Galactic Council, true to their word, had sent assistance. Alien scientists worked alongside humans, bringing insights from civilizations far older than Earth's. It was a collaboration unprecedented in galactic history. As the deadline approached, Elena stood in the hangar bay of Earth's orbital station, watching as the final touches were put on humanity's last hope. The ship was unlike anything she had ever seen, a fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology. At its heart was the singularity device, a sphere of swirling energy that seemed to bend light around it. The ship itself was built to survive just long enough to deliver its payload and trigger the device. "It's ready," Chief Engineer Rodriguez announced, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. Elena nodded, then turned to address the assembled crew. A mix of humans and aliens who had volunteered for what was almost certainly a suicide mission. "You all know the stakes," she said, her voice carrying across the hangar. "This isn't just about Earth or humanity. It's about the future of all life in the galaxy. What you do today will echo through history." She paused, looking each volunteer in the eye. Humanity's warriors were once feared across the stars. Today, we show the galaxy that those same warriors can be its greatest defenders. As the ship prepared to launch, Elena received one final transmission from Commander Volkov. His face was haggard, his eyes haunted by what he had seen. "We've lost the Thunder Child," he reported, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's just us and Nebula Dancer now. We can't hold out much longer." Elena leaned close to the screen. "Help is on the way, Commander. You've done more than we could have ever asked. Just a little longer." As the transmission cut out, Elena turned to Admiral Zhao. "Launch the ship, and may the stars be with them all." The hangar bay doors opened, revealing the star-studded expanse of space. With a roar of engines, humanity's last hope streaked away from Earth, racing to meet destiny. As Elena watched it go, she felt a mix of hope and terror. The fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy, now rested on the success of this desperate gambit. The warriors of Earth had awakened. Now it was time to see if they could save the very stars that had once feared them. A new dawn. The Singularity device streaked through space, a beacon of hope against the vast darkness. Its crew, a mix of humans and aliens, worked in perfect synchronization, their differences set aside in the face of a common threat. Captain Zara Okoro stood at the helm, her dark skin contrasting with the pale blue glow of the ship's controls. Beside her, Xanthor, a crystalline being from a distant world, monitored the quantum fluctuations of their unique payload. "We're approaching the combat zone," Zara announced, her voice steady despite the tension. "All hands, prepare for engagement." The scene that greeted them was one of cosmic horror and desperate heroism. The cosmic horror loomed vast and terrible, its form a violation of natural law. Before it, two human ships, all that remained of Commander Volkov's strike force, danced a deadly ballet, narrowly avoiding tendrils of dark energy that threatened to erase them from existence. By the harmonious resonator, Xanthor chimed, its crystalline form vibrating with emotion. "Your people are either the bravest or the most foolish I've ever encountered." Zara allowed herself a grim smile. "Often, there's little difference between the two." She opened a channel to the surviving ships. "Commander Volkov, this is Captain Okoro. The cavalry has arrived." Volkov's response was thick with static and exhaustion. "About damn time. We've got nothing left but fumes and stubbornness." "Fall back, Commander," Zara ordered. "You've done your part. Let us finish this." As Volkov's ships limped away from the battle, Zara turned her attention to the monstrosity before them. Up close, the cosmic horror was even more terrifying. Reality itself seemed to warp around it, and Zara felt a primal urge to flee screaming into the void. But humanity hadn't come this far to falter now. "All power to forward shields," she commanded. "Prepare the Singularity device for deployment." The ship surged forward, plunging toward the horror's writhing core. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out, battering their shields. Alarms blared as systems began to fail under the onslaught. "Shields at 30%, cried the tactical officer. "We can't take much more of this." Zara gritted her teeth. "We don't need to." "Xanthor, status of the device." The crystalline alien's voice was a melody of tension. Quantum harmonics aligned. Singularity stability at 98%. "We're as ready as we'll ever be." Zara nodded, her hand hovering over the launch controls. May the stars forgive us for what we're about to unleash. Launching in 3, 2, 1. With a silent flash, the singularity device shot from the ship, streaking towards the horror's core. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself screamed. A point of absolute darkness bloomed within the cosmic horror. The monster's form began to twist and contort, drawn inexorably towards the microscopic black hole at its heart. Its tendrils thrashed wildly, one of them slamming into Zora's ship with terrifying force. Hull breach on decks 3 through 5. Someone shouted, "We're losing containment." Zora knew they had only moments before their ship was torn apart. All hands, abandon ship, get to the escape pods. As the crew scrambled to evacuate, Zora remained at her post, guiding the dying ship closer to the collapsing horror. Someone gripped her shoulder. Tanthor, its crystalline form cracked and sparking. "Captain," it chimed urgently, "we must go. Now." Zora shook her head. "The job's not done. The singularity needs to be fed to reach critical mass. Someone has to make sure this ship reaches the core." Xanthor's form pulsed with what Zora recognized as sadness. "Then I will stay with you, Captain. Let it be known that in humanity's darkest hour, you were not alone." Together, human and alien guided their ship into the maelstrom. The cosmic horror's death throes intensified, reality buckling around it. Zora felt a moment of vertigo as the laws of physics began to break down. Then, with a silent flash that seemed to echo across the cosmos, it was over. Where the cosmic horror had been, there was now only a slowly dissipating cloud of exotic particles. Zora's ship and the brave souls aboard it were gone. In the tense silence that followed, it was Commander Volkov who broke the stillness. His battered ship limped towards the scene of the battle, sensors straining to make sense of what had happened. "My God," he breathed. "They did it. They actually did it." News of the victory spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. On countless worlds, beings of all shapes and sizes looked to the stars with a mixture of awe and gratitude. On Earth, in the bustling command center, Alina Chen received the news with a complex mix of emotions: joy at their victory, sorrow for the lives lost, and hope for what this might mean for humanity's future. Admiral Zhao approached her, for once looking less like a hardened military leader and more like a woman who had seen a miracle. "It's over," she said simply. "We won." Elena nodded, tears in her eyes. "No, Admiral. We all won. The entire galaxy." In the days that followed, as the full story of humanity's role in defeating the cosmic horror spread, the mood of the Galactic Council shifted dramatically. Where once there had been fear and mistrust of humanity, now there was respect and gratitude. 2 weeks after the battle, Elena once again stood before the council. But this time, instead of pleading for humanity's acceptance, she was there to receive their thanks. The harmonious resonator's crystalline form shimmered as it addressed her. "Ambassador Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council and all sentient beings, we extend our deepest gratitude to humanity. Your people's bravery and sacrifice have saved us all." Elena bowed her head. "We only did what any of you would have done, had you been in our position." "Perhaps," the resonator chimed, "but it was humanity's unique combination of ingenuity, courage, and yes, even your warrior spirit, that made victory possible. We see now that these traits, which once made us fear you, can also make you the greatest of allies." A murmur of agreement rippled through the council chambers. The reptilian counselor, who had once been humanity's fiercest critic, now stepped forward. "We were wrong to isolate you," it said, its voice gruff but sincere. "Your warriors may be fierce, but they are also noble. The galaxy is safer with humanity as its defenders." Elena felt a swell of pride and hope. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we accept this trust. We vow to be not just warriors when needed, but peacekeepers, explorers, and bridge builders between all sapient races." As the council erupted in cheers, Elena knew that this was more than just a diplomatic victory. It was the dawn of a new era. Humanity had been given a second chance, an opportunity to redefine its place in the cosmic order. The coming years would not be easy. There would be challenges, misunderstandings, and hurdles to overcome. But humanity would face them not as isolated outcasts, but as respected members of a galactic community. As Elena looked out at the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, she smiled. The warriors of Earth had proven themselves, and in doing so, they had not only saved the galaxy, but had also redeemed themselves in its eyes. A new dawn had broken, not just for humanity, but for all sentient life. And in the light of that dawn, the future looked brighter than ever before.